To be really honest, I think it is extremely important to diversify from the traditional approach to advertising, because all of us as consumers are now overexposed to advertising, right? I don't think we have there's any freshness left in advertising anymore. Um,
Right.
Advertising, I don't think there has been a time before this when advertising was purely for information. Right now advertising is purely for information. Interest
Mhm.
generation into a brand or into a product does not happen through advertising anymore, is becoming rapidly my firm belief.
Mhm.
And for that interest generation into a category, it is super critical that one looks outside of the traditional approach of communicating and not just advertising. And that's one of the approaches that we used with One Chef. So you will see that so far the only traditional media that we've used for this is print announcement of a launch like this, and that's also because it's actually probably one of the biggest launches that we've done in a long time. The entire conversation around this entire equipment is being sparked by just people whose opinions count, whether it is
Mhm.
chefs, whether it is lifestyle creators, etc. And that's the whole approach that we've taken around the entire device. I think it's super important to spark interest and desire in any category, any brand. One needs to go off traditional advertising. Chef Ranveer Brar has been a friend for a while. And when I'm saying friend, I don't mean personally, I mean a friend of the brand. He's been a brand ambassador for now over a decade. He practically joined us when we started on our air fryer journey. And since 2014, I think officially he's been with us. Um, and while he's always been a collaborator with us from the communication perspective, he's also an incredibly passionate and incredibly accomplished chef. So when we came up with this whole idea of creating an appliance that could actually make Indian food. So the whole premise of One Chef, the multi-purpose device that we've created, is the fact that it is made specially for Indian cooking, right? There are plenty devices in the market that claim to have the credentials to do a lot of different kinds of cooking. I can bet my bottom dollar you try and make a tur dal in that and you will not get the output. Or you try and make first a basmati rice and then a sona masuri rice and you will not get the perfect
Right.
output. The beauty of
Right.
this device is that it's specially calibrated for Indian cooking, and that entire expertise of what it takes for a equipment or what it takes for technology to really live up to the standards of Indian cooking, if I may. That entire work was done in collaboration with Chef Ranveer. So I don't know if you caught the communication that we did during the launch event, but he very categorically mentioned in the launch event that the technology of the device, the basic hardware, was ready 2 years ago. We spent 2 years just fine tuning and fine tuning some more till such time that he was satisfied that the dal is turning out perfect, that the rice is turning out perfect, that like everything is turning out as per the standards that Indians could approve of. And I think that was his invaluable contribution, and that's what makes One Chef such a differentiated product, because it's designed especially for Indian cooking. I can speak about a few things. I think what's important to understand about Indian consumers is that there are some things that are constant about us as Indians. One of the biggest things that's constant about us as Indians is the fact that we are value seeking. Now, typically, when you say value seeking, people translate it into saying we buy inexpensive products or cheap products. No, that's not true. But for us, value means value. You need to convince the consumer that the money that you're asking them to pay is worth the money that you're charging for. It doesn't matter whether that money is 1 rupee or 1 lakh rupee. It doesn't matter to the Indian consumer. I think that one behavior around value for money or value consciousness is very constant as far as Indian consumer is concerned. We are valuing different things at different points in time. So when we started out, I think 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, Indian consumers valued utility a lot more than anything else. Then they started to value durability a lot more than any other things. Right now, Indian consumers are valuing user experience. They are valuing performance. They are valuing aesthetic, right?
Right.
The values that are important for them are evolving, but the fact that we are value conscious hasn't changed. That there's one constant versus one evolution, right? Um, the second thing that's changing very rapidly is how we are making our decisions, right? Gone are the times. For example, there was a point in time when I started my career where everything foreign was really considered better. right? We're living in an era where we take pride in being Indian, in using products that are made in India, designed for India, etc., etc. I think I haven't witnessed an era where pride in India has been stronger than what it is right now. That's again an evolution in the way Indians have evolved and behaved.
Right.
um, I think Indian consumers have always been demanding, right? There has not been a time where it is easy to satisfy them, because if there are one, two, three dimensions that you can take care of, they will also want four, five, six. And I think that's one constant thing that remained. What's, however, evolved is how they are asking these questions, where they are asking these questions, and who they are trusting to the for the answers of these questions. And therefore you see a lot of evolution of the creator ecosystem, a lot of evolution of the influencer ecosystem, where consumers are saying, sure, the brand is saying this, there is fact in what the brand is saying, and then there are claims. I take the fact, but for the claim, let me go back to ABC other people who are key opinion leaders, maybe and see what they have to say about it, and then make the decision. So they are also a lot more informed than they were before. And I think these three trends of constancy versus evolution put together constantly shape our marketing strategies at Versuni and for Brand Philips as well. That basically means that we are continuously shifting or balancing between traditional advertising, which is more call to action driven, and influencer or content led communication, which is more interest generating or desire generating. Right. It means that we are constantly in our communication trying to discover new value levers that we can communicate to the consumers. Right. So it's not enough to just say priced at XXX rupees. In fact, that's probably a communication that needs to come last, and that does come last. What needs to come right at the top is, why should I consider your proposition in the first place? Forget about the money that you are charging for it. And I think that defines a messaging ladder very messaging hierarchy very strongly. um, and the fact that Indian consumer is super demanding actually resonates not just in our marketing communication, but goes right back into product creation at product
Right.
creation as well. You will see we are the only brand that has done any kind of innovation in core well entrenched categories like mixer grinder. We are the only brand that came up with a mixer grinder that can grind just one pepper, because we realized Indian consumer is not happy with you just giving them three jars which can do some things. They're very demanding. They want small quantity. They want big quantity. So you create your devices that can cater to that need. They want textures. So you create your device that can cater to that need. We realized that we are the only brand that's innovated in irons as a category. We realize that there is a market and there is a consumer who wants to really care for their garments and say, hey, give me something which will guarantee me that my clothes will not get burned no matter what I do to them. So we have the only iron in the world that can guarantee you no burns on your clothes, right? And therefore the demanding consumer is also forcing us to go back right to the drawing table and build products that cater to their demands instead of just focusing on marketing communication. So in recent years, Raina, like the rest of the industry, our marketing has shifted. Marketing spends have shifted more in favor of digital marketing. However, when I'm saying digital marketing, I don't just mean performance. I keep constantly hearing this debate in the industry around brand marketing versus performance marketing. I think the media conversation is different from the brand versus performance conversation. Spending on digital marketing does not just mean spending on performance marketing. Digital is just one media that most of us are spending so much time on every single day that it becomes a medium which is super important for me to reach the consumer in a meaningful manner. As we speak, nearly 40% of my entire expenditure on media actually happens on digital. And that I think is a very big chunk for a industry which is dominated by the use of traditional media. So if you were to look at any of the other brands in the industry, and we get these calibrations from media agencies, most brands end up focusing so much on traditional media that they don't end up spending enough on digital media. So that's one shift that's happening. In terms of KPIs that we are tracking this year, there is a whole host that we are tracking, but top of mind obviously are things which are around brand consideration, brand preference, and market share are the three big KPIs that we track at a brand level and are chasing at a brand level. When I go deeper down into media, I think we are constantly looking for various efficiency matrices as well, because it is not just about buying impressions or buying reach numbers. It's also about constantly moving conversion percentages, constantly moving CTRs, constantly moving CPVs, constantly moving your eventual lead conversion matrices as well. So I think across campaign, one thing is super, super clear to my team. We actually start doing our media planning outcome backwards, not budget forward, but outcome backwards. And it's true. You can ask my media agency as well. I tell them that if we want to run this campaign in this period, and in this period, this is the quantum of business I want to generate. And then they do a whole modeling that goes right up to, okay, therefore this is the budget that is required. And then we sort of fine tune from there to see what are the levers where we need to improve, optimize, maybe invest more, etc., etc., to be able to get to the outcome that we are trying to get to.